Yeah, good day, my wonderful people. What's up, niggas? Yeah, sorry, there's no nigga in the house. I know that people are watching me are responsible men and women of caliber in the society. Please, whichever way I use a word that is not appropriate, I beg you people to pardon me. It's not a normal me. Well, my dear people of Pupunkuti, according to my erudite professor John Bulu Eriwagwago, which is Kanayo O Kanayo. Well, my people, I have a lot of things I want us to tackle. First of all, I would like to welcome each and every one of us to this very early morning broadcast, and some matters arising that we need to deal with decisively, according to one of my idol in this media business. So, my people, my name never changed. I still remain your one and only Okute Daily News, bringing to you the live interview of that our able writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adiche. He don't scatter ground again. Oh. This time around, everywhere don't scatter finish. But before then, I want us to look into what happened to the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, P2B, in UK. The issue of, okay, they say it's a mistaken identity or whatever, but someone somewhere used P2B's documents to travel to the United Kingdom. Yes, the truth need to be told. Somebody planned this. All these things is coming since P2B is challenging the outcome that brought in the present select of APC and INEC. Yes, we need to say this truth. According to the Bible, it said, say the truth, and the truth shall set you free. We are not talking about the audio leak, which he have already come out and cleared that air because they're doing everything humanly possible to make sure that they frustrate P2B. They have tried using the party members, all the people that are involved in a Labour Party, all of them now they are fighting each other. This one is the handwork of the opposition party, which is APC. I'll be calling names today. Yes, I'll be calling names. The likes of Festus Kiyamo, FFK, Bayo Nonoga, Adamu Garoba, they are behind what is happening to P2B. The one of tweets of FFK, which is still very much live on his Twitter page, he says P2B need to leave Nigeria as soon as possible when he has the time to leave and never to come back again in his own country. A bona fide citizen who born, what do they call it, Femi Fani-Kayode, to make such a derogatory statement against a presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Somebody that if they put him one-on-one with P2B, even P2B's son or daughter, have integrity more than, what do they call him? Femi Fani-Kayode. This man have the God because they have already concluded that this country belongs to APC and belong to them, belong to the cabals. So they have every right to say whatever they like. The DSS, the AFC, EFCC, SSS, and the rest of the other security operatives, everybody keep mum and keep silent to that. But one of Igbo is whatever they call it, Ajao Estate in Lagos State, made a comment. The comment is he made, which I have already listened to that very audio countless times. Let me see where he is inciting the public against the government or against the country or against the state of Lagos. There's no anything like that. But the man now is right in the custody of either police or DSS. They got him arrested. The Lagos state government failed to protect the lives and property of the Igbos living in Lagos state. Every now and then they have been from one market born today to the other, straight to their lives on daily basis. That one is no-go area. He came out and said, if the government cannot protect us, if they cannot assure us our security of lives and properties, that they are going to invite the IPOB from the east to come and guide their markets. Emphasis on guide their markets, not come and fight the people that are fighting them or burning their markets. That is what he said. That is the offense he committed. It is not up to 12 hours. They tracked this man down and I got him arrested. MC Oluomo live video is still on the internet. Even everything can forget that. Internet never forget. He come out and threaten almost all the whole Igbos. We are not talking about other other ethnic groups, but all the Igbos, that if they are not, even he called names to let you know that he is referring to the Igbos simply because Peter Obi is contesting for election. The first time an Igbo man that raised his head and said enough is enough, that we need to take our country back. They have tried everything humanly possible to frustrate that. From there are 4 people tweeting in a room. Now, the reality of it have come out. Even most of them have already testified at the national TVs, saying that before they take Labour Party as a joke. Labour Party from nowhere. Under 6 months, Peter Obi take over Labour Party. Labour Party have come from nothing to having almost 36 House of Reps members, both state and national level, with 1 governor in what do you call it, in Abia State, and 6 senators. So now they have already seen that what Labour Party or what obedient movement represents is never a joke. Just like a certain area that just 4 people tweeting in a room. So how can you be worried about 4 people tweeting in a room that now you cannot even allow Peter Obi to drink water and drop cup? That's your issue now. Okay, that one now. Let us. It is a bygone. At least I have said enough on that. But the one that is even making myself, I don't know whether to cry or to laugh, is IMF giving Nigeria $800 million. How much? Yes, $800 million. Simply because they want to remove fuel subsidy. So my question is that money they borrowed to Nigerians or what? That money will have to be shared for 50 million poor Nigerians when the removal of subsidy will be completed on the 1st of June of 2023. The same government who denied that some poor people palliatives during COVID-19 is the same people, who do that statistics, and how are they going to share that billions of naira to 50 million poor people in Nigeria, whereby we have over 133 million people living in abject poverty. Living in abject poverty in Nigeria. Let them just tell us the simple truth. These governments have already completed or concluded on what they do with the money to share it because they are leaving office. You are telling me that they are going to share it to which properties? Who do the statistics? Nigeria, which way forward? Are we moving forward or are we moving backward? Because the change that is happening in this country have already, I have concluded that this country can never be good again. Believe it or leave it. Since the cabals in office, you have done the election, you sent Peter Obi to go to court, and the same people have already calling on the court again to discharge or to nullify Peter Obi's petition against the APC and against INEC. Nigeria, on our way done. As for they share the $800 million, make gonna know say any eye where they cry, they see. All these things started one day, and one day everything must end. So my people, I don't want to take much of your time. At least I have talking enough. I will do another fresh video whereby this one will be strictly only me alone will be talking, and with the points I am going to raise to the general public. So please, I want you to listen to Chimamanda Ngozi Adiche. She don't scatter the ground. In fact, she don't turn Nigeria, APC, and Asorok upside down. Listen to her. You will surely learn a lot from it. Since the ruling class have already said that nobody can ever say anything, she's right there in Lagos. You people should go and get her arrested. Because any Igbo person that said anything, even if the person is saying truth or not, you people you go and get that person arrested. So we are waiting. So please, my good people, I want you to listen to her and leave your comments at the comment section. I will also do what? I will also reply to you. If you never subscribe to my channel and are watching my content, endeavor to do that as soon as possible. It is not by force. Just the way of helping the ministry moving to the permanent site. So please, subscribe to my channel, share any of my content, and make sure that do what? You like and comment. Please, watch this Chimamanda's current interview with one of the TVs leading the station, or one of the TV channels leading in Nigeria. I'll be right back to give also my own illustration on this very matter. Thank you very much, my people. Make on have a nice day.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, yesterday came out strongly to defend the election of the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the February 25 election, saying alleged infractions not substantial enough to nullify the exercise. INEC, which responded to petitions by People's Democratic Party, PDP, and its presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, argued that the same 25% in 24 states constitutional requirements that apply to the 36 states of the Federation apply to the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, insisting, therefore, that Tinubu won the election. In the petition filed by its lead counsel, Mr. Abubakar Mahmood, INEC, while intervening in the controversy that trailed the alleged abuse of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, stated that the machine was not designed for real-time results transmission for collation purposes. Mahmood added that INEC's results viewing portal, IREV, was not designed and intended for collation of results either. Award-winning writer and renowned novelist Chimamanda Adiche yesterday ramped up her criticism of the conduct of the 2023 presidential election, maintaining that President Muhammadu Buhari and the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, blew the chance to emerge the new heroes of Nigeria's fledgling democracy. The novelist also noted that while Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka still has her respect, the playwright's assessment of the poll was incorrect. Adiche maintained that INEC's excuse that there were technical glitches in real-time uploading of presidential election results was unbelievable, insisting that it was done on purpose to manipulate the outcome of the election. She pointed out that one of the most glaring evidences of the manipulation of the poll were mutilated election sheets and polling unit agents publicly speaking about how results from the polling units were different from official announcements. Well, Dr. Abati, INEC has responded to the petitions made by parties to the Election Tribunal, and of course yesterday on prime time we had Chimamanda Ngozi Adiche on the show with her comments there. Your thoughts on this?
Okay, a basic principle in any legal matter is that you must hear the other side for purpose of justice, balance, equity, and the principle is called audi alteram partem. You must hear the other side. So it is to be expected that INEC, having been joined as a respondent in the petition by the Labour Party, and Mr. Peter Obi, will file its own response. And it's not only INEC that has filed a response. The APC and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of that party, declared president-elect, also filed a response to that petition. But the one that you introduced is the response of INEC. And INEC, through Mahmoud SAN, its counsel, in responding, has said that, look, the prayers, the reliefs sought by the Labour Party should not be granted by the court, to the extent that they are, in the view of INEC, nebulous, anachronistic, academic, vague, ungrantable, unsustainable, very robust, very, long delivery of adjectives there coming from Mahmoud SAN. in the response. And what are these, grounds of petition by the Labour Party and Mr. Peter Obi? One, that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not validly elected, and did not have the majority number of votes cast in that election conducted on February 25. Two, that Shetima, his running mate, had a double nomination, one for a senatorial seat and then the other one for the presidential race, which would seem to be a violation, or which is, a violation of the Electoral Act. Three, that the election was marred by rigging and manipulations. Four, that INEC did not follow its own regulations and guidelines, and that INEC ended up, in fact, violating its own enabling laws and even the Constitution. And to that extent, Labour Party and Mr. Peter Obi had argued in their petition that the election was not properly conducted. What was the relief sought? The relief sought was that Mr. Peter Obi and the Labour Party should be declared winner of that particular election. So INEC now says, look, Labour Party has no case to present, and that's one of the reasons that Mahmoud Essien was pointing out, is that Labour Party did not even have enough polling agents, that there was a shortfall in terms of the polling agents provided in all the 176,846 polling units, that Labour Party didn't live up to expectation by over 41 polling agents, and therefore that the Labour Party cannot complain about representation. And that in any case, Mr. Peter Obi cannot claim to have won that election because INEC points out in its response, he doesn't have, 1/4 of the votes in 2/3 of the states, and he did not even get the majority of the votes. So, but it's for the, tribunal to look at this response against the, petition and the relief sought by the petitioners, in this case, Labour Party and Mr. Peter Obi. And I refer to the response by the APC. The APC has also responded. And the APC, in their own response, just saying basically that, in fact, Mr. Peter Obi was not even a candidate in that election. And that therefore, he has no grounds to even raise a protest. And their point is that it's with reference to Section 77 of the Electoral Act, 77(1)(2)(3), and that Mr. Peter Obi, as of the time he joined the Labour Party on May 27 and became the candidate of that party on May 30, he was still a member of the People's Democratic Party, and that you cannot be in two places at the same time. That would be a violation of Section 77(3) of the Electoral Act, which requires political parties to submit membership register to INEC 30 days before their primaries and conventions. So a technical point there, but again, it's for the tribunal to look at that. APC also argues further that Mr. Peter Obi and the Labour Party had complained about a certain $460,000 that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu paid in a case of dishonesty in the U.S. District Court. Of course, they dismissed that again. That's fiction. But that's another issue that we argued. Was the candidate within the purview of Section 131, qualified to have been in that election? They will raise all kinds of points about time. They will raise all kinds of points about whether, in fact, an indictment amounts to a conviction. And by time, I'm talking about the 10-year rule, which they also have in certain jurisdictions in the U.S. Finally, the APC, responding to Mr. Peter Obi and Labour Party, says that the PDP was not joined. PDP and Atiku were not joined in the petition by the Labour Party, and that these are two major parties that could be affected by the outcome. So, two sides of the story. It's now for the tribunal to go into the matter. And if it goes all the way to the Supreme Court, But what we will just appeal to all the parties involved is that all of them should be committed to the rule of law. And that the febrile rhetoric that has overtaken the airwaves and the public space, should be toned down. And the leadership of the various political parties should also call their people to order. Because we've seen a lot of, surprising things, shocking things, let me say. Maybe not surprising. Nigerians no longer surprise anybody. They're capable of anything. Because even this morning, Mr. Peter Obi, through Dirone Fade, has asked us to issue a statement that when he traveled to London during Easter on Good Friday, that he was more or less detained at the airport because somebody had been using his identity. Okay, and the statement by Dirone Fade pointed out that this is part of the harassment, intimidation that Mr. Peter Obi has been subjected to, including impersonation in the United Kingdom, in a country where he had lived. So people should not go to extreme situations. And that brings me immediately to Chimamanda, who had intervened when she wrote Nigeria, a Hollow Democracy, a letter to President Joe Biden. She has been called all kinds of names. She has been abused. People have said, oh, she's not. People cannot even write a paragraph successfully to describe their own identity. I say, oh, she's not a writer. She plagiarized, half of a Yellow Sun. That complete ignorant people who just because they have the opportunity to be in the public space and access to media platforms just talk absolute rubbish. So I think what she has done as a follow-up to that Nigeria a Hollow Democracy letter that caused so much, reaction, if you like, violent reaction, is to just point out, that, look, she's not supporting Peter Obi because she's Igbo. She's supporting him because he thinks that he's a good candidate and because of his commitment to education. 2, by speaking up a second time, it means nobody can intimidate her. You can't silence her. People say, oh, she lives abroad. She didn't vote. Look, I don't understand that kind of reasoning. You don't have to live in Nigeria to be able to comment on Nigeria. The Nigerian constitution even recognizes dual nationality. You can be in any part of the world and show interest in your own country. In fact, people like Chimamanda, who are great ambassadors of the country on the literary stage, this is a lady who has been given 14 different honorary degrees, by major universities across the world, who has represented Nigeria. Nobody complained the other time when she was defending Nigeria interests. Now, because she says, people have lost the opportunity to be heroes, then people are, up in arms against her. Then we encourage a culture of tolerance, of debate, of openness, which seems to become very difficult, almost impossible for, an imagined, bibulous, voluble, hypertensive, verbal diarrhea community that will seem to have overtaken the space in terms of debating and discussing and analyzing the outcome of the 2023 electoral process. So Chimamanda Adiche, standing up for herself, I think she has my support, as I pointed out yesterday in a lengthy piece. And then, of course, she disagrees with Professor Wole Soyinka and says, well, she doesn't think Obi Dati Ahmed, but Dati Ahmed, is guilty of fascism. She thinks it's INEC that is guilty of fascism. Fine. We're in the public place. Let different opinions flourish. But for some people to think that their own view of the coin is the only correct view, it's a culture of intolerance that we need to address in this country.
Absolutely. Very well said, Dr. Bati. I just had a few things because you've dissected this story so well. But just to mention, I married the two stories together in terms of INEC's response and the interview. And I would recommend that interview, if you haven't seen it, to watch it. The interview on our primetime show yesterday evening with Chimamanda Ngozi Adiche, where she highlighted some key issues. But let me start with how she describes the elections as unforgivably flawed. This she said in her letter, but she also emphasized that she wasn't moving away from that particular assertion. She then said that the INEC chairman, Professor Yakubu, and the president missed a prime opportunity to be heroes of democracy, not just in Nigeria, but Africa. And I thought that was so profound. Because as we have seen, Nigeria, as the giant of Africa, the big brother of Africa, is being watched by many democracies around Africa. And unfortunately, what played out, in her opinion, in her view, didn't quite speak well of what should be the giant of Africa. Now, going back to Professor Yakubu and INEC's stance in terms of what they said, what they didn't say, what they promised, what they didn't promise, I believe that, as was said, as was opined yesterday by Ms. Adiche, INEC missed the opportunity to give Nigerians the best elections in modern democracy, especially with the things that were working for them and what they had on side. Number one, the Electoral Act of 2022 was supposed to aid INEC in producing the finest election we've seen in modern democracy. They had a huge budget that was approved by the federal government and released. At least we haven't heard of the fact that they didn't get the money. In fact, the president assured Nigerians that all resources, including financial resources required by INEC, was made available to the tune of over 300 billion naira. People have questioned, where did that money go? If you have such a huge budget, then the kind of election that should come up from that should be exceptional. Unfortunately, many Nigerians cannot say, both the opposition party and the ruling party cannot describe that election as exceptional. Also, we look at technology. BVAS was supposed to be the game changer. Coming out now to talk about how they made promises, or perhaps the statement made by INEC chairman was taken out of context. He didn't promise it was going to be uploaded to IREV. IREV is not a collation center, and so on. These are statements after the fact. What Nigerians heard again and again before elections was that they were going to have an opportunity to produce a transparent election, and IREV was going to ensure that, because you could view results as they were announced real time as from collation centers, they were going to be transmitted to IREV. Unfortunately, they broke their promise to Nigerians. Beyond the fact that they say that they perhaps were not legally bound because they could, at their own discretion, determine how they would transmit results, the promise made to Nigeria, and now it brings to question the matter of integrity. What we saw INEC do during the election was release statements and counter statements in terms of what they were going to do, and then correcting or perhaps trying to explain themselves. But what that left for us as Nigerians was a thought that perhaps someone wasn't being very honest or factual with Nigerians. Hence, you can understand the agitations, the disappointments from Nigerians post the elections. She made a number of statements, now going back to Mr. Adiche's statements yesterday, around the fact that when we talk about fascism, INEC themselves should be the ones who should be seen as fascists, as they, in the conduct of the way PVCs were handled, disenfranchised Nigerians. It could be seen as disenfranchisement. It could be seen as taking the voices of Nigerians and not allowing many Nigerians to exercise their franchise. She also talked about and put to rest the fact that when you say that, oh, you shouldn't come and you didn't vote, people wanted to vote. She gave a personal example. A number of people who went out against all odds to register didn't get their PVCs. It was a big challenge trying to register in the first place. In getting the PVCs was another hurdle to cross. A number of people didn't succeed. Therefore, castigating people when they tried is quite unfortunate. And also the fact that every Nigerian citizen, home and abroad, has the right to comment on events happening. We talk about the diasporan contributions to Nigeria. So if we can take their contributions in terms of the monetary contributions, we must be ready to take their involvement in politics as well. A detailed interview, she had the opportunity to explain perhaps further her point. I'll end on this note. She mentioned in terms of the background, and I think that's quite important so that we understand the full import of that letter. It was to challenge the United States hypocrisy in the way that they push for democracy in Africa, yet are quick to support what seems like an undemocratic process. Therefore, if the United States on one hand can say that, oh, you know, this democracy is XYZ, then they should also, or they are quick to criticize Africa's democracy, they must also be seen to uphold their stance all through. It sparks of hypocrisy if you talk about the fact that we are not as democratic as democracy should look like, and then be quick to celebrate what Nigerians themselves have largely said was an undemocratic process. A fine interview, and like Dr. Abati said, at the end of the day, the judiciary is where all eyes are on currently. They would be the ones to settle the matter, they would be the ones to decide. But what Nigerians are asking is that this is a final hope for many Nigerians. We are hoping that the judiciary would be fair, would be transparent, and would uphold the rule of law. Going on to the next story, former governor of Anambra State, Dr. Chimamanda Adiche, has died at the age of 78. He was the first governor of the state in the current Fourth Republic. In a statement, Mbadinuju's family said he died at the National Hospital. Arise correspondent Emeka Monye takes a look at the life and times of the former Anambra governor.
After the return to democracy in 1999, Dr. Chimamanda Adiche was elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to govern Anambra State. He served as governor of the state between 1999 and 2003. He stayed for one term and was believed to have been sponsored by Emeka Ofor, a political kingmaker in Anambra. After a fallout between him and his supposed political godfather, Emeka Ofor, the power struggle between the two men crippled the machinery of government in the state. Between September 2002, unpaid teachers had been on strike for a year, and civil servants and court workers had been on strike for months. While in office, he passed a law that created the State Vigilante Services, which legally enshrined the Bakassi Boys, a popular vigilante group credited with reducing crime in the state. He pitched his tent with Chris Uba, another power broker in the state, who also later fell out with him. Mbadinuju claimed he was excluded from the governorship contest in 2003 despite winning the PDP primaries because Uba and former President Olusegun Obasanjo opposed his candidacy. Before entering politics, he was an associate professor of politics and African studies at the State University of New York. He was also a personal assistant to Governor of Old Enugu State, Dr. Jim Nwobodo, between 1979 and 1980. He also served as a personal assistant to late President Shehu Shagari between 1980 and 1983. While consoling with members of his family, Governor of the state Charles Soludo asked them to ensure his good legacies are sustained and prayed that the Almighty God grant his soul eternal rest. Chimamanda Adiche was born on 14th June 1945 and was married to Nnebuogo Mbadinuju. They had 5 children. Emeka Monye, Arise News.
Well, thank you very much, Emeka Moyo, for that tribute. Dr. Abati?
Well, I think that the correspondent already covered most of the grounds. Just to say that even before becoming governor, former governor Dr. Mbadinuju was a personal assistant, to Shehu Shagari. He was also a personal assistant to Jim Nwobodo, Senator Jim Nwobodo, when he was governor. And then later, he became governor of Anambra State, 1999 to 2003, on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. But before all of that, he had also been a journalist, rising to become editor of Times International. And then in the US, after his PhD, he was an associate professor in political science and African studies at the State University of New York, SUNY, before he then came home and became part of this profession. So he was a journalist, he was an academic, he was also a lawyer. And then, of course, what most people remember would seem to be the turbulence during the time he was governor and the quarrel between, the governor and the godfather at that time, drawing attention at that time to the politics of godfatherism in Nigerian politics. So it didn't start today. It's been a problem there. And in any case, after being governor and all of that, in his later years, many will remember his role as an elder statesman. Well, a few controversial things, the Anambra Vigilante Service that he established, and also his decision to establish, was it the Anambra State University in his hometown of Uli in Ihiala, local government area of Anambra State. But on the whole, it was highly respected, because in later years he became like a mentor to other governors that emerged. Well, we commiserate with the people of Anambra State, and in particular the people of Uli in Ihiala local government, and also the Mbadiniju family. Anambra is a very gifted, very, lucky state. It's a state of great people, So we're talking about Mbadiniju now, who has passed on. But if you look at the profile of that state, they have so many great people. What the challenge that Professor Soludo seems to have defined as the current governor is how to harness these talents for the good of the people of Anambra State, and to take that state to the level that it should be. Governor Mbadiniju will be remembered, for his scholarship, and also for his contributions to the growth and development of Anambra State, no matter how controversial his tenure may have been.
Yes, as you've mentioned, despite the controversies, we just celebrate the life of a man who'd given his stewardship to the people of Anambra as governor in the modern democracy from 1999 to 2003. He passed away yesterday at the National Hospital in Abuja, and as we've mentioned, his death was announced by his first son, and just extolling the virtues and his legacies. And speaking about legacy, as Dr. Abati had mentioned, he's noted for having created the Anambra State University. Despite what some people might say was, taking it to his hometown, the fact is that the university has been established. And I do say that one of the greatest ways that the government of Anambra can honor his legacy is to ensure that the university thrives, and so that the University of Anambra State University stands and thrives, and in terms of the quality of graduates that are churned out and the resources that are allocated to that sector to improve education in the state of Anambra. So we talk a lot about industrialization, but let us also focus and emphasize education in that part. As has been mentioned, we have a number of people, greats, who have come out of that state, and so we look forward to the state producing even more through investment in education and, of course, investment in industrialization.